When you argue with a fool, you just prove there are two. And I consider Congresswoman Omar, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman Tlaib, Congresswoman Presley, I think is her name. They call themselves the Squad. I consider.
There is a well-known idea in politics that when calm voices speak the truth, those in power often respond the loudest. And today the noise you are hearing is not coming from facts, it is coming from people who feel exposed by them, and that reaction alone tells you something important is happening. And before we get into it, take a moment to like, subscribe, and share these headlines that rarely get full attention, and stay focused and comfortable because what you are about to hear matters far more than most news outlets want to admit, because Congresswoman Ilhan Omar was directly challenged by Senator John Kennedy in a moment that quickly shifted the entire discussion, and the exchange was sharp and clear and left little room for excuses. Yet, surprisingly, major media outlets are acting like it never occurred, and we are about to show you the full clip that many networks chose to ignore and watch closely, because the ending reveals more than anyone expected and explains why this moment is being quietly brushed aside.
There are a lot more important issues in front of the United States Congress and the American people than who tweets what to whom. So let me say it one more time. I thought in the president's original tweet, I thought it was a poor choice of words. I think I know what the president meant. And he clarified later and said, look, if you're not happy in America, leave. Just leave. And I agree with that. But his original articulation of that concept, in my opinion, fell short of the mark. Number two, frankly, I don't know why the president felt the need to tweet on this subject at all. You know, when you argue with a fool, you just prove there are two. And I consider Congresswoman Omar, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman Tlaib, Congresswoman Presley, I think is her name. They call themselves the Squad. I consider them to be fools. They hate America. They think America was wicked in its origins, and it's even more wicked today. They ought to be thanking America instead of calling America evil and wicked and racist. But this is America, and they have the right to their opinion. But I don't like to see the president even dignify their point of view. Besides that, I think that the Squad, as they call themselves, they are destroying the Democratic Party. You know, when your opponent is screwing up, don't interrupt him. Let him go. I mean, just looking at this from a political standpoint, if I didn't know better, I would think the members of the Squad were GOP plants. I mean, they think that illegal immigration, socialism, higher taxes, abortion are all moral goods. They think America, Israel, free enterprise are moral bads. That's not what most Americans believe. And that's kind of where I am on the subject. The president has explained his position. He has said, look, here's what I meant. If you're not happy living in America, leave. It's a free country, and I agree with that assessment.
If I am not on this committee for one term, my voice will get louder and stronger, and my leadership will be celebrated around the world as it has been.
Today's resolution, as it relates to Representative Omar, details 6 statements she made as a sitting member of Congress that, under the totality of the circumstances, disqualify her from serving on the Committee on Foreign Affairs.
Don't tell me this is about consistency. Don't tell me that this is about a condemnation of anti-Semitic remarks when you have a member of the Republican caucus who has talked about Jewish space lasers and an entire amount of tropes, and also elevated her to some of the highest committee assignments in this body. This is about targeting women of color in the United States of America. Don't tell me, because I didn't get a single apology when my life was threatened.
The representative can say whatever the heck she wants, but we don't have to accept it or embrace it. Individuals who hold such hateful views should rightly be barred from that type of committee.
This institution is better because of her leadership, and the Foreign Affairs Committee benefits from her perspective. So let's talk about what's really happening. Republicans are waging a blatantly Islamophobic and racist attack on Congresswoman Omar. And I've said it before, I will say it again. The white supremacy happening is unbelievable. This is despicable.
We're not removing her from other committees. We just do not believe when it comes to foreign affairs, especially the responsibility of that position around the world with the comments that you make. She shouldn't serve there.
This moment began the same way many news cycles do now, with non-stop debate over social media posts' timing and who felt offended afterward. And while the media stayed focused on online reactions, Senator John Kennedy cut through the noise and brought the discussion back to something far more important, because he reminded Congress that the country faces serious challenges that matter more than online arguments, and Kennedy did not avoid the issue or soften his words. He made a clear point that endless arguments over small distractions only waste time and energy, and he openly named well-known progressive lawmakers, including members often referred to as the Squad, and voiced a frustration shared by many Americans who feel ignored. And his comments struck a nerve because they reflected concerns people have been expressing for years. And what made this moment powerful was not shock value or attention-seeking, because Kennedy was not trying to create headlines. He was pointing out a political reality that many voters already recognize, because these lawmakers often describe America as deeply flawed and unfair, yet they reach their positions through the very system they criticize, and they benefit from the country's freedoms while consistently speaking against its foundations, which many see as deeply contradictory. And Kennedy also highlighted another issue many Democrats would rather avoid, because these voices are reshaping the image of their own party and policies involving border security, economic systems, high taxes, and foreign policy positions are no longer on the sidelines. They are becoming front and center, and many everyday Americans are stepping away as a result. And he even added a light remark suggesting that at times their actions seem so damaging that one might question whose interests they truly serve. And while said with humor, the message underneath was serious, because political choices have real consequences and voters are paying attention. And this brings us to the most important clarification. Ilhan Omar was not removed from Congress, silenced, or erased. She was removed from a specific committee because comments related to anti-Semitism and an unwillingness to clearly condemn extremist groups raise serious concerns when foreign policy is involved, and that decision was about accountability, not identity. And Kennedy closed with a reminder many feel has been forgotten, because America is not the enemy. It is a place of opportunity, growth, and freedom. And when leaders begin to speak against the very idea of the nation they serve, someone has to speak up, and on that day, John Kennedy did. And if you believe in facts over narrative, support honest discussion by liking, subscribing, and sharing, and censor headlines, because some stories will not be highlighted by major outlets, but they still deserve to be heard.